As a chartered cross-border financial markets professional, when the aforementioned effort gathers requisite momentum, the Ijaw Nation can count on my selflessness and exuding pent-up proactivation of my eclectic professional depth. In conclusion, I'll strongly implore and encourage us to know who we are and what we want to achieve as a nation. We must recognize that all that is possible is purposed for us. We desire, without a doubt, to fulfill the highest and truest experience for the Ijaw Nation. We must have a vision for the Ijaw Nation of our dreams, else we will continue to be driven by strangers. We must continue to find a way to serve because greatness is determined by service. Service and significance are the elements that drive us as humans and last for a long time. Using our individual knowledge asset in service to our communities is our mark of greatness. Let us use our positions as a force for good. This then guarantees us exponential growth in our career pathways. We must shift the paradigm through service and significance and realize monumental success. Doing the right thing shows in excellence always. Let excellence be our brand. The Ijaw Nation deserves to create its excellent brand. We become unforgettable through excellence and doing the right thing. Doing all of the aforementioned rewards us with inner peace and tranquility that is incalculable in measure. Let us think for the people while enjoying life at the same time, says Chuck Finney, a billionaire, I think he had about $70 billion. He gave all of his wealth to charity before he died. And there is a story behind that, but that's not the purpose of our meeting. I will simply thank you for the opportunity to chair the Indg Social and Business Subcommittee. I would say aloha. I would say aloha, noa, do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I think we'll now find out our rhythm in terms of going to the next item on the agenda, which is, let's see here.
It's on the WhatsApp group. I sent it on the WhatsApp group. Yeah, it's on the WhatsApp group.
Can we share it on the screen?
On the screen?
Can I suggest that we don't show it on the screen? Otherwise, we won't be seeing ourselves. If you go onto the platform, it's there. It's not for everybody. Yeah, or just print it out.
Okay, but we can, some of us are using the phone, so it might be a bit difficult to translate, but maybe we can put it in the chat room here.
Okay, yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, but it's not a problem.
Just copy it and paste it.
Yeah, I can do that.
Well, the chair is directing anyway, so. Yeah, Chairman.
Okay, so we can get to number 3 item, which says member suggestions, ideas for Ijaw Nation economic project. What do we internally in our hearts prefer and think that we need to do to really impact our various communities, regardless of the confusion that surround us, regardless of the malaise and the disgusts and all of that? There are things that I know and we all know we can do. I would go first with Lady Philomena Okorafor.
Okay, thank you very much for this privilege and opportunity. there's when I saw the minutes, I was like, wow, this is going straight. I mean, this is cutting straight to the chase, and I liked it. For me, what came to my mind immediately is the fact that we need to look at one of our greatest challenges is that of mindsets and the entitlement mentality. And looking at the scene, we have people of a jaw extract doing extremely well in the creative services industry in Nigeria, also known as Nollywood. In my mind, what I'm thinking, the first thing that came to my mind is, let us begin to shift the minds of the people. If we engage the people in our creative services, we'll begin to develop creative content like jingles, messages, documentaries that encourage selflessness. Why I say this is because the media is one powerful tool that we haven't taken advantage of. It is time now that we begin to properly harness the force that is behind the media to help prepare the minds of our people for the major developments that will be coming. Because if their minds are not receptive, when you bring a project, they will still say, oh, what is the need for me? Give me money and take your project, or something like that. So I'm thinking that fundamentally, we need to now start creating media content that we can deploy on various medias. Of course, members of the Ijaw nation own some significant media outfits within Nigeria that we can have that content continually shared. I remember back in the day when they, during the war against indiscipline campaign, up to today, I will never throw a thing out from my car window because of the jingles and the messages I heard at that time. I'm thinking that we should really saturate the media with deliberately created content. So that would mean working with the people in entertainment to develop, even if it's just short skits, short dramas, you know, like these ones that are being made popular right now on Instagram, the comedians and stuff. We can just develop content that will begin to bombard our people with, so they begin to feel a sense of responsibility for taking care of the environment, for making sure that businesses thrive. So such content as, you know, the importance of having this small businesses thrive in the Niger Delta, those kind of things. So I'm just like speaking off the top of my head now, that things that we can work out in details and specifics eventually. So is it okay for me to stop at that point?
Very good, very
Mr.
good.
Chairman, sir?
Lady Field.
Yes, sir.
Hershey, what are you doing now? You didn't disappear.
No, I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm just sitting.
Bolero has landed.
Lady Field, excellent. That was masterful. We really enjoyed that that contribution
evening,
there.
Good evening.
Good evening. And that's
Baby.
Bolere Opukiri. Wonderful to have you.
Good evening.
That's so great. You're welcome. Very good. So let's now go to the next person. Let's take Mrs.
Sorry, I don't know. My network is fluctuating. My network is fluctuating. Good evening.
Good evening, baby. Nice to see you.
Good evening, baby.
Hershey.
Good
Do you
evening.
want everyone?
Okay, let's
do you
take
sorry, Hershey, can I say something?
I don't know. I can't hear clearly. The network is fluctuating.
Yeah, go ahead. Ayo, go ahead and say whatever you want.
No, okay. I was going to ask whether you want everyone to speak before commenting, or you want us to address the issues. For instance,
yes, I will. Yes, I want everybody to speak before I comment.
Okay, all right then. Okay, fair enough.
I want everybody to have their suggestions and ideas before I comment.
Okay, fine. Okay, just wanted to be clear on that.
All right. So you can take the floor.
Well, me. Okay. Thanks. Okay, thanks for the opportunity. And can I just, quickly welcome our sister Bibi onto the platform. Obviously, we've been chatting before your arrival, so it's nice to see your face. Now, okay, just if you,
Good evening,
points.
Elder Anthony, Uncle Isaac.
Thank you, my sister.
Phil.
Okay, thank
Good
you.
evening.
Okay, your sister's here, Tari Oliver, and okay, okay. I've got a few points to flag up. Obviously, this meeting is dedicated to preparing, the grounds for the meeting with our two, top leaders, former President Goodluck Jonathan and former Governor Timothy Silva. So I would like to kind of focus my points around that that objective. We have, I say one of the points I would like to make is that we should use this opportunity to unite those two leaders. We all know that on the face of faith, they are brothers, Timmy Silva is always referring to Jonathan as my elder brother and all, yeah. But underneath, the usual political differences are there, obviously PDP, APC, and all that, different agendas. It would be a major credit to INDG if we can succeed in bringing these two Ijaw leaders, these two Ijaw brothers together. And I'm thinking in terms of the opportunity that will present itself if and when we are able to formally launch our website. That's another story. When is the website going to be launched? Dates and all. But I'm suggesting, and I think we've touched on this in previous meetings, if we can get both President Jonathan and ex-governor Timothy Silva, among other Ijaw leaders, to join us, come together on that day, and we use that opportunity, if we can hear our two brothers, other special guests or keynote speakers or whatever, on the same platform on that day, it will be superb. It will be a major credit to INDG, because I'm not too sure that those two leaders have kind of, anybody have been able to pull the two of them together on the same platform. So that is one objective that should be in our mind when we are visiting the two of them. The launching of our website should be part of the agenda. We need to discuss that with them, and our expectation that they will be on board and they will support us in the launching of the website. So these two visits should be kind of preparatory grounds to pull these two leaders together, preparatory ground for the formal launching of our website. And that is why it's so important that we become very clear in our minds when this launching is going to take place and how the whole thing is going to be. I would expect that this social and business subcommittee will play a major role in that launching. Pity our brother Johnson Opigo, who is the key driver as far as website is concerned, is not here yet anyway, with us, because he's going to be a major player in this. I don't know, maybe as a team at some point we'll be able to brief us exactly where we are on the website, because everything seems to have gone very quiet. I'm finding that a little bit worrying. By now, we should have a kind of a provisional date. And I keep asking myself what is delaying clarity on where we're going with the website. Obviously, our brother Johnson has done a fabulous job, and we shouldn't just let that to just lie on the grounds as we seem to be doing everything. Let's have clarity as to when it's going to be launched and what sort of preparations are on the ground. Okay, so moving on. I also feel that we should be clear. I was thinking in terms of the forthcoming All Ijaw Summit, and I'm wondering what role the INDG will be playing, if any. And I'm asking, will our president be given the opportunity to make an input. I'm talking about the Olijo Summit that is coming up on the 4th of December, which is next Saturday, as a matter of fact. So I don't know, I've not seen any sort of agenda and how it's going to be. We know the topic is the Nigerian state and the Ijaw question. If our president, that is president of INDG, Ben Nagan, is going to be part of one of the speakers, then the question is, what should be the focus for INDG? What would be our position? What sort of input do we wish to make into this question of the Nigerian state and the Ijaw question? Do we wish to remain in Nigeria? Do we want to push for our own Ijaw state or Niger Delta state? What sort of points should our presidents be highlighting if given the opportunity to make an input into this conference? And in my view, if there is no clarity about whether or not our president should make an input into this Olijo conference, then this is the time for us to start asking questions. Because we've only got a week to go. And I know they have raised a committee working on these issues. Our president, Ben Nagan, is not here, so I don't know whether or not he's been invited or he's been informed that he will be invited to that summit. If there is still no clarity on that, then I think INDJ Secretariat should start working on that. It's very important that INDJ is given the opportunity to make an input. I don't want to keep going on and on because I'm conscious of the time and the fact that others also have something to say. So I will hold fire at this point and allow others to make their points as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very, very much, Ayo. You've done masterfully well. We appreciate your input here. Let's go to the next person. Mrs. Tari Oliver is next.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Bibi, you're welcome. So if I understand clearly, this is supposed to be a committee on business and social. And when it comes to business, I will let the social side slide because that is very broad. But business, as we know, is how do we attract business opportunities to Bayelsa State, if I'm correct. I don't know if it's just Bayelsa or if it's just if it's the entire Ijaw nation, but I would like to focus on Bayelsa, for instance. And then not going and focusing on Bayelsa, I think that we need to do, some of the things we may need to do is, we may need to carry out some sort of research because there are lots of opportunities in Bayelsa State, but out there people don't know about it. I think we can take it upon ourselves to carry out this research, find out the opportunities that are there, find out the raw materials we have, find out the business potentials, and find out also how we can now use our opportunities and the people we have there to leverage on investors, JV, and all of this sort of funding and get business ideas funded. So we can be that tripod between the raw materials, between the people that have the ideas and between the investors. We can kind of be at the center of all of that and government policies and stuff like that. Because I was having a conversation with San some time ago, and he told me that Bayelsa has about 12,000 highlands. And it was very difficult for me to believe, but he said, yes, that someone carried out that research. But I'm still waiting for that document he has not sent. So what I'm saying is that, like our brass axis, we have the best beach in the whole of Nigeria. But if we do not have an access road, and if we cannot access the beachfront, we may not be able to utilize the opportunities there. And, because government is short, the first year you are trying to settle in, you have 1 year of doing government business. From the third and fourth year, you start campaigning and all of that. It doesn't really give government the time to put all of these things together. But if we can carry out that research, find out how we can get investors and all of that, I think it's also going to be a good one for us. But these things are long-term projects. It's not just something that this ESCO will just carry out and succeed in the next 2 years, because I'm actually tired of all of this sort of empowerment programs here and there that it doesn't really translate to anything sustainable. So, but for the mindset shift and all of those things that have to do with entitlement mentality, I very much agree with my sister Phil. I think we can do all of that and still carry out our research and find out the opportunities we have. Thank you.
Okay.
Very good, Mrs. Tari Oliver. Now let's go to the next person, will be Isaac T.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity and welcome to every one of us that found time to be here. Well, I've listened to the first couple of speakers on this issue of coming up with an agenda for business and social event for this INDG or IP Ijab People's Association Assembly. Well, I think our primary objective here, like Mr. Tokito pointed out, is primarily to organize an event that will host former President Goodluck Jonathan and our former Governor of Bayelsa State, the current Petroleum Minister of State, Silva. So I think we should focus more on these two areas, even though the subcommittee is titled social and business. We should first focus on getting the social part of it and then tie it in with the business angle. By that, I mean, we should first think of how to come up with the program, the arrangement for the event. When are we looking at holding this event? This is we're almost in December. Are we sure we can hold this event in this year, this year, 2021? If we're going to hold this year, what are the requirements getting these people to accept the dates that we might have for them? If we can get that agreed or kind of settled, then we can come up with the kind of program that will sell to them. So like Tokito said, we should take this opportunity and see if we can get these two brothers to be on the same platform, which actually for a very, very long time, I've never seen these two big brothers on the same platform. So this would be, a selling point for INDG if we can make this thing happen, get them to come together and discuss ways of developing the joint nation. I think that would be a masterpiece for us to do that. So while we're thinking of organizing the event, we should also think of how to get the two of them, using one stone to kill two birds. How we can get two of them to come together on a platform and chart a sustainable way of developing our land, our joint nation. And the focus should be on the joint nation and not really on Bayelsa State, because we have people from different states that are all part of this INDG project. So that's just my thinking. In summary, I think we should focus more on how to get a date, get these guys to agree, to commit, and then come up with the schedule of events and areas of interest that we will have people take home on that day. So let's not just be like a regular social event. We'll just come and dance and eat and disappear. No, let it be something that will have us continue, follow up. It'll be a continuous process. It's not going to be a one-off issue. So that draws me to an issue the other day where the president of AMC was talking about ad hoc, that this committee should be an ad hoc committee, which is very wrong. You know, ad hoc means it's a one-off something. You just come, organize a show, and dissolve. That's not the idea. The idea should be continuity. We organize something and we follow up, follow through. So it doesn't just end up like every other events that people just come and you know, like fanfare and then disappear. Let it be something that once we get it hosted, that should be like a follow through. Like the last event we did last year, I remember, Phil, I think you anchored it for us. The plan was to have a 10-year objective, although we didn't follow through on that one. So something like that, we should have an agenda such that once we start, it's not something that will just kill after the visit. It should be something that will warrant we setting up a committee that will follow through to the end of implementation. That's what I'm looking at, and that's the way I'm thinking, but I might be wrong. You know, that's just my own comment for now. Thank you.
Very good, Isaac T. All right, so the last one, but not the least certainly, is Bolere Opukiri.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good
evening, everyone. Sorry, I came in a bit late.
Good evening.
I'm sorry I came in a bit late. I actually had some errands to run and I got home late. I really am a bit lost. I'm going to admit that I'm not very clear on everything going on, but from what I had a conversation with Sterling, he called me yesterday, so I'm like made to understand it's a group, or sorry, it's a subcommittee for social and business, and appendage of Indg. And I'm still not sure what's going on besides this meeting probably being a unit to plan for some courtesy visit to President Goodluck and Hechi, Timothy Silva. And because I'm a bit lost, I might call a couple of people later on to catch on everything that's been going on. But I'll be glad to be, I'll be okay or happy with being assigned any task or delegated to any task I could perform. And I'm just open to doing that. That's all I can say. I'm not sure I have a lot of contributions, especially on the business angle. I can't pretend to understand a lot of what goes on there or the legalese surrounding it. So I think I'll stick to social issues and perform any task if assigned for now. I'm sure I'll be able to call a couple of people to catch up on everything the meeting has been about after now. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Bolere Opukiri. You actually have not lost or missed out on anything, but we'll bring you up to speed. I think we need to do a little rehash of what we have discussed so far relative to suggestions and ideas. Lady Phil had mentioned that we need to reset our mindsets, keep it open, and the entitlement mentality is something that we need to consciously work on. We can use jingles, messages, documentaries, and the like. And maybe storytelling in the villages can also be a way of dealing with that challenge. To use media contents, she mentioned. So we'll explore that. And then AO mentioned that the most important, view that he had about this social and business subcommittee is that if we are able to unite our two leaders, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, His Excellency, and Chief Timipuri Marlin Silver, that would have covered a lot of ground. And in doing so, we would also like to launch the website and have them to participate. And then we have to get to AO mentioned something about the Joe Summit.
Yeah, can I just
You
clarify on
said
that?
something about the George Summit.
I'm not sure whether or not our president, Ben Nanagan, will be making an input into that summit. And I'm saying, because the summit is coming up just next Saturday. The summit is coming up next Saturday. And if we are still at INDG Secretariat, if we are still not sure whether or not our president will be making an input, then I think we should start asking questions. Yeah, play any role, then we should start asking questions. And I'm saying, if on the assumption that our president will be making an input, then the question will arise, what exactly is the INDG's position regarding the topic for the day, which is the Nigerian state and the Ijaw question. What will we be expecting our presidents to be saying if and when invited to make an input? So that is an area that at this point I have not heard anything. Maybe Isaac T and the secretarial have clarity on that. Yeah, sorry, Isaac.
Mr. Chairman, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Saudakito, I think I don't know why you think we should this subcommittee should bother about the All Ijaw Summit that is coming. I know we are supposed to be involved in business and social. And do you think the All Ijaw Summit falls under social, or otherwise? No, I think we should have allowed the larger EMC to handle this.
Okay,
this
fine.
matter instead of
it's just
dumping it on us.
Okay, fine. So I had about 3 key points that I wanted to mention at this meeting, and I've mentioned them. So it's not just, I mean, I've mentioned the visit to both President.
Yeah. That's one area that if you could remember, I even threw your line, because that is something we should do. You know?
Okay, fine. I mean, if we wish to just leave, I'm just prompting, okay. Especially you, being part of the secretariat, I'm just prompting because the summit is coming up next Saturday, and there's nothing. We've not had nothing. So, in a sense, I'm prompting you to give us some inside info, if you like.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree with you. It's not a major issue for this subcommittee. So I'll drop that and leave that to you as part of the secretariat.
All right.
Thank you. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Chair.
Very good. I think we'll go to that. Yes. Yes.
Chair, why are you in darkness now? We not see you. I mean, Nepa hit your room, your house.
I'm sorry.
You're in darkness.
Okay. Can you see me now?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay. All right.
So
now, are we saying that we should not participate through Mr. President's inquisition into the Nigerian state and the Ijaw question? That we should leave it to the INC to handle the entire issue that relates to the Nigerian state and the Ijaw question, so that there will be one voice on that issue? We should let the INC speak for the entire Ijaw nation, and that Mr. President shouldn't be involved at that level. Is that what we've all agreed?
No. Oh, I beg, Mr. Chair, if I can say, I don't know, maybe obviously Isaac T will speak for himself, but this is titled All Ijaw Summits. So the idea, and I know, because I've summit, and I know that the whole idea is for all Ijaw, including INDG, of course, we are part of the Ijaw nation. It's for all Ijaws, the ANQs and all, to come together to agree a position which will empower INC worldwide, i.e. President Okaba, to speak on behalf of all of us Ijaws. What we don't want is for the Ijaw president to be going all over the place making statements without being empowered by the Ijaw nation. So this All Ijaw conference is earmarked towards empowering the INC worldwide. So I will expect the INC to be a major player in all that. So what Isaac T said earlier I'm assuming that he knows better than any one of us being part of the secretarial, that I'm assuming that
Okay. Now, let me just say something that I read.
Yeah, go on.
Let me say something that I read that connects my uncle, Emeritus Professor E.J. Alagua. I was made to understand that he and the traditional ruler signed some kind of declaration of the Niger Delta Republic, which will be submitted to the United Nations on February 23rd of 2022. I'm not sure if everybody is privy to this information, but I can forward to everybody on this platform through the WhatsApp platform we've created, so that
Chair, it was published on Loop One, I believe. I've read it as well. I think
it was published on Loop One. Yes.
Yes. It was.
So I think the INC during the All Just Summit would focus on that question. I think they will focus on that question and disseminate information formally during the All Just Summit on December 4th to the entire Ijaw nation worldwide, all over the world. So I think that is the trust, because it looks like there's a concerted effort to make sure that they follow through and they are determined to create their Niger Delta Republic. I think that is the focus. And Terry Oliver had mentioned something about researching and doing feasibility studies and accessing funding ideas that will match raw materials in a state like Bayelsa. Of course, we're talking about the entire Ijaw nation here, including Bayelsa, and there are about 12,000 islands that they need to be, sourced and used to generate some value. That one of the shortcomings is that there are no access roads to Bayelsa, and long-term projects are kind of hard to achieve in the current dispensation. Isaac T. had said something about primary objective of this social and business subcommittee being the hosting of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, His Excellency, and Chief Temipuri Silver. And we should focus on those two. And then when we do that, business will happen. And that's my take also. I believe strongly that when we do
I'm on Zoom. Let me call you back later, yeah? Okay, call me back. Okay, I'll call you when I'm finished. Cheers. All right, okay. Oh, sorry.
And
sorry, guys.
ICT had emphasized that we need to firm up the dates and organize the event as soon as possible. And we need to obtain a commitment as soon as maybe this coming week that we are getting into. That the most important value that we could get from this would be the unity of both of our frontline leaders. That we should also focus on the Ijaw nation, not only on Bayelsa, which is true, and that the social and business subcommittee should be a subcommittee, not an ad hoc gathering, which should have some kind of continuity far into the future with potentially a 10-year roadmap that will follow through with whatever suggestions, ideas we come up with. Bolere Opukiri had mentioned that she's willing to participate and perform any task that will drive the objectives that we all share and the brand that we're all trying to create. Having said all of this, I would believe that in terms of securing the appointment, we would have to now look at the constitution, not the formal constitution, but this constituted social and business subcommittee. We have some members who have access to both of the frontline leaders, and we'll try to access, what information we can from them to quickly firm up those 2 dates and be able to come up with the submissions that we expect to make during the appearances. So let's give ourselves maybe 2 days till Tuesday, potentially Monday, tomorrow. I will be able to talk with as many as possible to find out what kind of input they can make to access these 2 frontline leaders. I will do my part. I have contact with them. I have their numbers, and I can reach them, but I will want everybody to participate in terms of making it happen. I think the next thing we need to do is AOB. If there are any other business that we need to do that anybody feels is germane and necessary, we'll be glad to handle them. There was this saying about, how do you want to be addressed and known as?
Sorry, Heshi.
I, for
Heshi.
one.
Heshi,
Yeah.
sorry, can I interrupt a little bit?
Yes, go ahead.
Just to be clear, because I'm a sucker for time frame and being clear as to what is happening. Are you saying that you will, because you just mentioned possibility of giving ourselves to Tuesday to reach out to these 2 leaders? Just to be clear in my mind, are you saying that you will be reaching out to these 2 leaders with a view to agreeing dates for the visits? Is that what you're saying? Because somebody has to assume the responsibility to reach out to these 2 leaders.
Yes. I said, although I do have their contact details, I would like to know what input any of the constituted members on this subcommittee can make in terms of accessing these 2 frontline leaders. I will do my part, but I would like to know that there are some key players on this particular subcommittee who can actually help, with making sure that we quickly secure a date with both of them. So I wouldn't want to take on the entire responsibility. I can only say I will do my utmost best, but there are others on here, who also may have access that would also expedite the possibility of securing a date as soon as possible that we can be proud of. So I'll do my part. I'll reach out tomorrow. Since we now have a constitution and we know what the cover letter would include whenever we set up to meet with them, we'll have a cover letter that has our desires, and then we'll have a constitution also give to them, and also invite them to be part of the launch of our website. So tomorrow I will reach out.
Okay.
I will reach out, and then we have Lady Field, we have Tari Oliver, we have AO, we have Isaac T, we have Bolero Pukiri. Any of us, may have a mega input to make in this regard, because it couldn't be just Sterling Ellis, who would be charged with that responsibility.
Sir Ellis.
Go ahead, AO.
Yeah, that is true. That's exactly what I'm trying to push you to give us clarity. You are the chairman of this subcommittee. You are mentioning names. I think there is a responsibility on you to push this. Anybody that you feel or that is in a position to help us make progress, you as the chair of this subcommittee have a responsibility to have a dialogue with those people, push those people to ensure that they are doing what you expect them to do. What I'm trying for us not to do is to end this meeting without clarity as to who is doing what. And then we end up expecting that Mr. A or Ms. B or somebody is doing something, and at the end of the day, nobody is doing nothing. So you as the chair, I'm suggesting that you as the chair of this subcommittee, you need to push whoever you feel should be doing something. And you suggested a deadline of Tuesday. So by Tuesday, you as the chair should be in a position, hopefully, to give us some kind of feedback, either through the new platform that you've set out, and I must thank you for that, for doing that, or by whichever way. But you declare in your mind that by Tuesday you want to be able to give us some progress. Let us know exactly what is happening. Let's not leave this meeting expecting people to do things when nothing is actually happening on the ground. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Thank you.
Your Excellency.
All right, very good. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, sir, talking about clarity, I also am needing some clarity here as well. I know that there is an immediate need. What is the duration of, I know ICT mentioned something about ad hoc or whatever. What are the terms of reference? What are we supposed to do as a committee above and beyond organizing this meeting, that the courtesy visit? Because I like to think long term. So my suggestion was based on my long term thinking. But if what is within our purview, or what is within our power to do is short term, then I also need to have that kind of clarity to help me in determining how we move forward. Because if we're talking about, in your opening remarks, something that stood out to me was when we talk about executing people-centered projects, and you listed a few things. So I'm thinking that when we go to these people, that we should have clarity as to what we are presenting beyond, okay, let me put myself in the shoes of any one of them. If we're inviting them just for the launching of a website, what additional value? What is the real value there is to that beyond the ceremonial thing about it? Are we, so if we're going to go to the courtesy visit, what other prayers are we taking to them that will give us, that will make us different from any other person that comes to them? Those are the things that I'm thinking about. So I'm thinking that beyond preparing for those visits, the essential component of preparing for those visits will be to articulate a long-term goal or plan that they can buy into beyond just launching the website. And I'm also thinking that if there's a compelling enough reason that makes them drop their, there can be a compelling reason that can make them drop their political differences and come together to work as a united team of Ijaw sons who we're very proud of. So that will mean that, okay, so can we identify that force? Because we can find a way of bringing both of them together. There are forces, we need to recognize the forces that are keeping them apart first and foremost. Is it that, okay, the center, which you have identified as being so strong, is politically pulling at each of them, and they, on their own as individuals, cannot do anything about it? I'm just thinking broadly. So, and I'm just putting some things for us to consider as we move forward. So I'm thinking that, well, I need clarity. Is this a short-term project we're involved in? Or do we have opportunity to expand? Do we have the the opportunity to expand, the liberty to expand our thinking to long-term things? Yeah, so that's...
Okay, now, okay, let me address the issue of clarity. Now, the main purpose is to commence the process of creating value that will allow the engagement of Ijaw indigenes in various communities to be involved in cottage industry projects that they can now use to make a living. We will identify the ecology of each community. For example, Gari can be grown in certain parts of the Ijaw Nation. Aquaculture would grow in certain parts of the Ijaw Nation. We need to be focused on utilizing the institutions of higher learning to do feasibility studies and business plans, because they have the ability to interface with the various ministries in the various state governments and be able to put a mini project together that would help communities that need economic sustenance for the long haul. The idea to meet with them is to let them know that as from
Oh, frozen.
We're losing you.
I can't. Eshi, we can't hear you. I've been up at them. I can't hear.
The network.
I can't hear. I can't hear Eshi. It's gone.
It's not even okay. Okay.
Oh, Eshi, we can't hear you. Can anybody hear me?
We lost it there, Echi.
Yeah. Let me just conclude. So the visit.
We lost you.
Actually,
We didn't hear you for a long time.
yeah, I was bumped out. So the visit to these frontline leaders, His Excellency Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and Chief Timipri Silva, will be focused on what we believe we can do to activate economic emancipation projects, mini projects for various communities, while identifying each ecosystem that a particular Ijaw community, is comfortable with in terms of growing their own unique brand. It could be Gary, it could be some specific aquaculture item. It could be something else that is uniquely that particular Ijaw community. Now, in order to make that particular product sizzle, you might need the institution of higher learning, a university, to now partner with a ministry in that particular state that the Ijaw Nation is inhabited in, and be able to have these people to work together, these institutions to work together, the ministry and the university, so to speak. So if there are projects that need to be researched, any feasibility study, any business plan that need to be put together so that these communities can now get the funding and support that they need, we will present these to the frontline leaders and say, this is how we believe the Ijaw Nation can be economically emancipated, so that they will stay busy, we'll engage them, we will provide the necessary support mechanisms, and their involvement as frontline leaders is very, very important, because once the universities know and the ministries know that they are involved in these initiatives, they will take the matter seriously. And if we run into any bottlenecks or any kind of issues, we can always, get back to them, and then they will help us solve whatever issues we confront. So as frontline leaders, we want them to be involved every step of the way, committed to making sure that whatever it is we are trying to do to emancipate Ijaw communities, wherever they are, that they stand ready with their influence, their contacts, their capacity to motivate, to make these projects happen. Because if they are not involved, the universities may not take the matter seriously. If they are not involved, the ministries might not take it seriously. So it is vital that they are involved and that we recognize that we need to do something that is going to engage economically the communities in such a way that they would be self-sustaining. But it must include not only Chief Timipri Silva and His Excellency Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. It would also include other frontline leaders in various other communities. It could be Henry Seriaki Dixon. It could be His Excellency Doyediri. Somehow we have to attach frontline leaders to projects that we're engaged in, for various communities. It doesn't matter that they are no longer governors or they're no longer, part of the fray, or they're no longer getting any benefits from helping anybody. They have to be selfless. And we want to start with His Excellency Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and Chief Timipri Silva for obvious reasons. But we'll corral the support of everybody else who is known as a frontline leader moving forward, those of them in the past and currently. Whether deputy governor, senators, ministers, whoever they are, we will approach them and include them in the master plan. Because if they are not involved, the universities, the ministries that need to be directly engaged will not do what they need to do to make sure that these communities are ignited with the kind of support mechanisms that will allow them to become self-sustaining over the long haul. That's the value proposition.
Okay. Question.
Thank you very much. I have my hand up.
Did I make my point?
Yes.
Yes, you made your point. You made your point for me, which underscores the fact that what we should be looking at is creating our master plan, which we sell to them. Well, I just wanted to add also that you mentioned the universities and then you mentioned the ministry. I just wanted to say that maybe you might also want to include the likes of FAO and IITA, because another thing that we want to do is to make it sustainable, we need the muscle of international organizations who are known for resilience, because it's one thing to start, it's another thing to finish. So we need to, well, I think that when the rubber really hits the road and we come up with a plan, we can see how we bring in all the critical stakeholders that will ensure success. So yeah, I just thought to mention that.
Yeah. Well, to add to what Phil just said, bringing in foreign support is very crucial. I mean, it's very important, because if you just depend on the local actors alone, at the point they might just abandon the whole thing. So bringing in foreign aids or foreign support, foreign experts, that will really give more fit to the project. I think that's what Phil is trying to say. So adding the foreign aspects as a component to the institutions of higher learning, to the frontline resource persons, and then the committee. So it will be a tripartite kind of commitment: the international aspects, the foreign, the local institution, and then our frontline leaders that will help drive it. But what about the funding? How do we fund this project? That was my question.
My hands up there.
I'm done.
My hand is done. Chair, my hand there.
Okay.
Chair,
are you seeing me? Chair, are you seeing me?
It's going in and out, so you can talk.
Yeah, okay.
I think you can talk.
Go ahead, Sao Tokito, go ahead and speak.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for all that's been spoken, and thanks, Chair, for all the points that have been made. Now, what point out?
You can go ahead and speak, Sao Tokito.
Yes, I'm speaking. Can you hear me? I'm speaking. Anna, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
okay.
we're hearing you.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear
now,
me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me, Chair?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and speak.
Yeah, I'm speaking now. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you. Go ahead, speak.
Okay.
I can't hear you earlier. I couldn't hear you earlier.
Okay, thanks. I'm saying that, look, from what you've said.
Very good. I can hear you now.
Okay, because we've spoken about these cottage industries again and again and again. All this, to me, all sound very grandiose and very noble and all well and good. But much of the time, it comes across to me like what governments are doing anyway, in terms of linking up with the universities and all that, and trying to attract foreign investments. Are we really, I really think we need to sit back a little bit and consider the reality that government, Bayelsa State government, Delta State government, River State government, much of these things are what they do anyway. So if we go to these leaders and say, this is what we want you to do, are we really expecting them to take us that serious? Trying to, we must not run the risk of trying to teach grandma how to suck eggs. That's what I'm trying to say. So let us consider these things very, very carefully. Are we not trying to teach governments how to run their government? Because I mean, of recent, there was a team, so-called, supposedly a business team, that had these dialogues with Governor Dere and all that, and they were supposed to have been taken around to the state visiting thing. And when I was looking at those videos, there are the sort of things that we at ING we're also contemplating. So I'm saying, let's just sit back and ask ourselves whether or not, if we start raising these sort of issues in the context that we seem to be discussing, these leaders would see us as, really raising serious issues, because these all come across as government issues anyway. And I think we really need to reflect very carefully how we approach this. Now, the point I would like to ask the chair is, at the end of all this, before this visit, what do you visualize the end product of this business or social and business subcommittee? Do you intend that we'll have some kind of a paper that kind of sets out, even in bullet points, the key issues that we intend to discuss with both leaders, so that we maintain some elements of consistency,
uniformity,
and transparency,
consistency,
in the way or what the message that we're trying to convey to these two leaders, so that we don't just go there unprepared, if you like, and not being able to convey the key message in why we're having this meeting. At all. I mean, wait, I'll soon finish. One of our sisters did mention, one of our sisters did mention the need for such clarity, and I'm trying to figure out which of our sisters mentioned that. But okay, we'll come to that.
Yeah, that's Phil.
Lady Phil.
Lady Phil.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
I mean, Lady Phil mentioned quite a lot of things. In fact, I was going to make the point about the media preparation and creative media contents and all that. These are things that probably need to raise with our VP, our Vice President, who is a Nollywood veteran, and she's also leading another subcommittee which touches on those issues. Before I forget, I will also, Aditi actually mentioned when the event will, when is this? Okay, that is the launching of the website. That's what I was trying to be clear. The launching of our website. My view is that it cannot occur this side of the year. It cannot, because at this point in time, many of these leaders are already got engagement. Christmas is next month. Next week, we are in December. So realistically, we should be thinking more in terms of next year. If we are to get these leaders, if at all, to commit themselves to being at our luncheon, then it have to be next year. And I think, I don't know whether it was, no, it's not Bibi, I think Terry Oliver mentioned the point that we should go there with a clarity as to what comes after the meeting with these leaders. What comes after? And I think this is something that some of us have been raising on the EMC platform again and again and again. I think even Dr. Mitchell is concerned about that. What happens after the meeting with these leaders? We need to be clear on that, because we shouldn't be just another, talk or jamboree type of a meeting. After we've launched our websites, what next? So we've got to have some kind of substantive. And this links into what the chair has been talking about, about the about the cottage industries and all. All I'm saying is that let's have something in black and white. Also, let's also reflect on the fact that governments are there to govern, and some of these things that we are discussing, they're things that they're already doing. Let's not come across as though we're trying to teach them to do their job. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, very good, very good. AO, I appreciate that. But we must recognize primarily that the Ijaw nation is determined to look out for the best interest of its citizenry, number one. Number two, our frontline leaders need to be seen as interested in the affairs of Ijaw indigenes who are in these various states, be they Delta, Rivers, Bayelsa. We are not interfering. We are trying to seek out the best interest of our indigenes in their various states. And if we show interest from the point of view of seasoned leaders like Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and Chief Timipiri Silva, they will recognize that we do not want to be shortchanged, that there is a paradigm shift, that we have woken up to the realization that we need to look out for our people. So the governors of these so-called states would even take the matters that concern Ijaw indigenes in their states more seriously. Now, the next thing is that a concept paper or a broad-based cover letter that covers highlights of what we desire to do, we can call it a concept paper or a white paper. Of course, that will be included in addition to the constitution of Indg, so that they will know that we are serious about what we are doing. Now, as far as the launch of the website, now, I think we had mentioned that the launch of the website should include all of the other Ijaw Nation frontline leaders, so that it will be a point of synthesis. That means that we need to focus on the visits to the two frontline leaders first, and then later we will now address the issue of launching the website. Like Lady Phil mentioned, just going ahead to talk about the website for the sake of it may not go well, but the website is an interactive site. Expectedly, it will be impressive enough that even if it lasts only 15 minutes or 20 minutes, everybody will say, wow, we have a website now. So I think that we are not going to be interfering with any state governors, political initiatives or leanings or the like. We are simply saying we are interested in what's going on with our citizens in your state. And we are not going to the governors to say, work with us. Of course, at the end of the day, they might need to work with us, but we are looking out for Ijaw indigenes in their states. There's nothing wrong with that. If we don't, who is going to do it? And if not now, when? Because there are people, dying in our various communities of hunger. They are living from one penny to the other. They are just in penury, if you will. So we need to do something to let the governors of these various states know that we know there are Ijaw indigenes in their states. We know they are doing whatever it is they need to do, but this is a program that we have identified that will add more value and luster to Ijaw indigenes in their various states. And we need their support to get it accomplished. But we'll just have to be proactive, initiate, and follow through. We don't have to wait for them and be afraid that, we are going to be interfering with some of their projects. What projects? If they have executed any meaningful projects, why are Ijaw people complaining? That they are being shortchanged or they are being sidelined in those states, in River State and the like, and Delta State, they've never had a governor and they've never had this or that. instead of going into the political realm, I'm believing that if we follow the economic and empower the people, it will be much better and easier than going the political route. You know, because it's about economics here. You cannot separate politics from economics. If we help our people become self-sustaining and economically empower them, the political question might just be second nature, because they'll be able to transcend all of the challenges and arrive at the political destination that they desire without being, corralled by any influences from the John nation. So for me, the way I look at it is that we come up with a master plan, a nice concept paper. It's not a big deal. It could be 7 pages, it could be 4 pages, but very solid, concrete. We'll add the constitution to it. And of course, have some information about the website. Even if we're not launching it, they need to know that we have a website in the offing, and they can go there and take a look and excite themselves. So yes, it could be a concept paper or a white paper or a cover letter that's expanded, but there will be definitely a value proposition, that is openly and clearly stated, that would allow them to know. Most of these people don't like to read much. I don't want to do a white paper or a concept paper that is so, tiring to read. I believe that we can do the concept paper, but we'll do a synopsis, that will capture everything in one page in the front of the concept paper, and then attach the constitution to it, and also let them know that we have a constitution, and then, a website, and then do the visit and do those presentations to them. Even if they don't read the entire concept paper, they will read the first page, which is the synopsis. And the synopsis will capture the summary of everything that's in the concept paper. That's why I said, a cover letter, so that you don't bore them with so much to read and understand and processes that are boring. These are people who don't have time for that. So yeah. I believe that, in presenting our case, it would be succinct enough. It would be, quite value-driven, and that they would buy whatever it is we are telling them. It's time they started being proactive about fighting for Ijaw people everywhere. And until they start doing that, our people will be marginalized and continue to be relegated to obscurity and penury. So I think this is a way to call them to service and significance. Okay. As much as they have been presidents and the like, there is still a role for them to play. Right. I hope I made my point.
Yeah, I think you made a point.
Excuse me, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes. Someone asked a question, and I want to ask that question again. All of the fantastic ideas we have, we are obviously we're going to present something to them during the visit about what we are about, right?
Yes.
So those ideas, who is going to fund them? Are we expecting government to fund? Are we coming in with funding? I want to be clear on that, please. What's the funding of all of the ideas we have? Who is going to fund?
Where's the money coming from?
The issue is, a funding mechanism is not left for anybody upfront to determine. We cannot say, oh, until we get the funding, we will not be able to move forward. No, we have issues to tend to. We have issues to address. In addressing these issues, which are germane, they are just fundamental. We cannot just hide away from them. The funding situation will address itself as we pursue the initiatives. If it is doing a little cottage industry that requires $500,000, there may be some funding mechanism for that. We have to start from somewhere. These frontline leaders may have ideas on where to raise funds. There are other professionals who may say, yes, we can have funds for these kinds of projects that are already here and there. We have to start. Once we know where we are headed and how much is required for a particular initiative, then we start figuring out how to resource, how to, practically look for the funding for these projects. It's not something that starting out, we will say we have $100 million to tap into before we can do this. No, we have communities that we must cater to, that we must help. And to help them, they are in a community, and these are the kinds of jobs that they can do from their own ecosystem to survive. Okay, to activate the entire mechanisms, what do we need to do? Then we start profiling the solutions. We cannot say, oh, because we don't have $100 million stashed away, we cannot start the process. We have to start the process to let people know we're interested in creating a paradigm shift that is not usual. We want to move from where we are to where we believe we ought to go to in exuding excellence, significance, and providing service. Too many of us are assuming that we have to have tons of money. It may not take tons of money until we get there. We don't know yet. The funding should not scare us.
Excuse me, sir. I
Yeah.
am not assuming that we should have the money somewhere.
Right.
But you see, when you're having interactions with people and you have a concept, you kind of have a business plan. And in that business plan, you should be able to determine what sort of funding you need. Is it a JV? Is it BOT? Is it partnership? What sort of arrangement do you want? Because
Okay.
all of these things will be part of the conversation you're going to have with them. For instance, if you have a fantastic idea and what you need government to do is to bring land, then you let them know the government should bring land and we have investors or blah, blah, blah. But if we are not setting up what we want, it's vague. Is it when we start meeting with them, we start defining what we want? That's what I'm saying.
Yes, I understand what you're saying, Mrs. Tari Oliver, but we must accept the fact that we cannot start saying that, oh, all the funding sources are known. We cannot start doing that. It's only when we get to the point, that is why we said higher institutions of learning, we do the feasibility studies, because we may not have the money to pay the professionals who will do the feasibility study and the business plans, because it's expensive to talk to KPMG or PwC to generate a business plan or a feasibility study. So we get the institutions of higher learning involved so that they will be part of the project without financially encumbering the imperative. And the ministries will also be there to assist. So we will make it not a capital intensive initiative on each occasion. We will make it a people center, get people involved and bring the human face to the fore, as opposed to saying, oh, we need a feasibility study. Okay, if I tell you now that I can do the feasibility study, but to do the feasibility study, you have to pay me $250,000. You will say, wow, where am I going to get the money? That is where the institutions come in, because they don't have to charge much money, because it could be a research project for somebody who is doing a master's or a PhD, and the VC of a university would make sure that this feasibility study is done. So that is what I am trying to say here. We don't have to get to the point of saying feasibility study or business plans would stop us from moving forward. Fine. If you say we must do feasibility study before we start, how are you going to pay a Stellantis or a KPMG or PwC, to do a feasibility study to determine if a particular project will work or not. So we have to use what we have to get what we need to get. We cannot say, oh, because we don't have, I don't mind, I'm spending time, energy, and effort. I'll do the concept paper. It wouldn't take me much time to do that, put it all together, make it quite convincing, and present it, before we have the, before we go for the meeting with both of our frontline. So my take is that we have to start something. For example, I don't believe in government being involved in anything, okay? But the bottom line is, at this point, we cannot separate ourselves from government because we need the institution of higher learning to be involved. We need the various ministries to be involved so that they will on a daily basis have an agenda to keep an eye on what growth trajectory is taking place with whatever imperatives or projects, mini projects that they are involved in producing. So, my take is that as a financial professional dealing in a country like Nigeria, we don't even desire to do anything with governments because, for example, you want to build a train, a railway station, train wagons and all of that, and you have your own railways established. You don't even need the government to be involved in any of that. You buy the land, you build the railway, you bring the technology, you bring the money, and you collect the money back and pay for the project. Now, those are the kinds of feasibility studies that I would be involved in and be able to carry through. But these are not the kind of projects we are talking about here. Okay? In Nigeria, there have never been a private railroad or railway established ever, but it's possible to do so. And there are people in the pipeline who are willing to do that. That means they don't need government's approval to do anything. And the research has been done to know how to do the railway without government being involved. Government doesn't have to take any loan.
Can I was going to suggest that, okay, Phil, you can go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. My thinking is, I mean, this is our first meeting. This is a place to just throw in our ideas, and we will have them refined. Yeah. I don't see that we can do all the refinement in one meeting. It's good that all the ideas are thrown out. We take a look at them and we see how best. And I guess that's why you establish in the agenda what our thoughts were concerning how to move the generation forward. For me, the whole concept of economic emancipation of the Ijaw people just stood out to me, and it is something that we really, really need to take a look at. Can we address all the issues in this meeting? No, I think not. No. I think that let us just somehow identify key points that we work on and see how, like Chief AO said, am I allowed to call the Chief AO?
Community sister. I'm a flexible, I'm a flexible brother, no wahala.
Okay, like you said, for me, everybody's job is nobody's job. So everybody's job is nobody's job. So it'd be good for us to identify here on straight up now who's taking what role, so that we know who we're holding responsible for what. So if we can just nail down on some key specifics that we take away from this meeting, so that we know that, okay, regarding this, so this person is responsible. Regarding the website, it's Isaac T. He needs to give us information by so and so. Regarding scheduling a time to meet with the key big men, who's responsible, and then the event date, and Chief again has said, let's look at the time sometime in after December, which makes sense. So between now and then, what are we going to be doing? We're going to be articulating a plan that we're taking to them, something sustainable. And I believe that for me, when we develop the strategy, within the strategy itself, we'll find the solution to funding and other things. And so we can look at short-term plans, long-term plans, mid-term plans. So we can say, okay, we can do this within the next 1 year, we can do another one 5 years. So, but that should not limit us, should not limit the extent of our thinking. We should just think as wide as possible, but now narrow it down in a plan that says, okay, this can happen within this time. This will happen in another, midterm, and this will happen long term. So I think when we do that, all our ideas can be accommodated neatly into the plan, and then we can run with it. I just thought to mention that. I'm sorry for butting in.
Yeah, thanks. If I could butt in myself, thanks, sister, for. I think you've actually articulated most of the key points. What I was going to say is, look, our chair. I mean, one key thing that I'm going to take away from this meeting is our chair's undertaking to come up with a concept paper, as he describes it. That the contents of that concept paper will enable us to address some of the issues, because until we have something in front of us, it's really difficult to build this concept of what we're trying to do, even both short term and long term. I'm hoping that the concept paper that our chair will be coming up with, and he hasn't told us when he's planning to deliver this concept paper. I'm hoping that that concept paper will open another horizon for us, to discuss and address some of these key issues. There is quite a lot hanging up there in the air, in my mind, quite a lot, because much of what our chair, she, has been talking about, these are issues that, to me, just hanging up there. We need to really put kind of meat onto the bone. And I think his promised concept paper will help us in that direction. And just on the final note, I did mention this point about the time frame for this website, because the launching of the website, obviously, that would enable us to bring these brothers together. We do need to be clear in our minds when this will happen. And my view is that it cannot happen this side of Christmas, this side of the year, most probably next year. So those, unfortunately, Johnson Opigo is not here with us, because he is a key driver as far as finalizing the website is concerned. I don't know, Ajit, it's one of our IT gurus. He's very close to on the grounds on that as well. But those are, those two things, i.e. the concept paper, time frame for launching and all, very important. And yeah, Sister Phil rightly mentioned, we need to be clear as to who is doing what in terms of the visit to these two leaders. Let's not assume that things will just happen by magic. If nobody is doing nothing, then nothing is going to happen. So Chair, HA, you are the chair, you are the leader of this subcommittee. Yeah, so please ensure that things are happening on the ground rather than assuming that things will happen. If we assume that things will happen, things will never happen. Let's get cracking. Thank you.
All right, now I want to ask one simple question. I want to ask one simple question of everybody. Among all of us here now, who among us has the capacity to create access to any of the frontline leaders or both of them? That is to get an appointment and to identify a date that will now be able to turn in the concept paper and meet with them.
I can actually try with I can try with the former president. I have some level of access.
Okay. All right, very good. And then who will Chief Timipre Silva?
I think for Chief Timipre Silva, Mr. Ben Nana said he had already submitted a letter and then he's expecting a response from him this week. So I think the president of the EMC is actually working on that. So I don't think we need to duplicate that effort for the Honorable Minister of Petroleum.
Okay.
We should be able to get.
Are you sure they haven't done anything for the former president?
No, nobody has gone there yet.
Okay.
Nobody has gone there.
Okay, so we have that, and then the concept paper, I'll be working on it as we get the appointment firmed up. The concept paper should be ready.
So the fundamental question, Mr. President, had been the date, like Brother Anthony has also said. He asked if we're looking at this year, then it might be really impossible to get these two guys to commit because they are scheduled for the year, I'm sure, would have been all taken. So we might be looking at next year. So do you have any intention of hosting it this year, or is something we can look at probably first quarter 2022?
Well, you're talking about the visit?
Yeah, in terms of dates, yeah. But that's the most important thing right now.
Yeah, Lady Phil is going to do her bit, and Mr. President Benana will do his bit. Hopefully, by this Friday or by Wednesday, we will have a sense of what direction we've headed, what we've achieved in terms of firming up the time and the date for the meeting with them. So let's give Lady Phil some time, and then connect with Mr. President Benana, and then know exactly what the time frame for meeting with Chief Timi Primal in Silver is. And then if they are not able to, firm up a date within, December, early December, hopefully, then we'll now figure out, what other day or days in January or next quarter that we'll be looking at. But for the meantime, let's give Lady Phil and Mr. President the freedom to exercise their influence, I would say.
Okay. Yep, makes sense.
Okay, so I think we are through with the concept paper issue. By the time the appointments are firmed up, the concept paper will be ready. It's not a big deal. And as far as, is Lady Opukiri still here?
Yeah, I think she is.
Is Bolero Opukiri still here, or is she?
Yes, I'm here.
Is.
Okay, you are still there. Very good. Very good. If I may ask, are you a lawyer?
No, I'm a media
Okay.
consultant.
Oh, you're a media person. Okay, good. All right, I just needed to know. All right, very good. I think we have almost come to the end of, we have AOB. There isn't much to discuss on AOB. Does anybody have anything really?
No, I think we've really gone almost 2 hours.
No.
So let's wrap up.
Let's wrap up.
Yeah.
So I think we've done well. Everybody has recognized their responsibility and the timelines that we're talking about. And it's been a wonderful one. I would say, have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful week ahead. And we'll be looking forward to reconnecting via the WhatsApp platform. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you so much.
And
Thanks,
then,
everybody.
I think we need to have somebody, give us a closing prayer.
So we had a woman do an opening prayer.
Isaac T, you did go to church today, so give us a closing prayer.
Well, I didn't go to church, but anyway.
Confession time.
Yeah, I went to an event, all night events.
Don't put something together anyway.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Yeah, Father, we thank you for this hour. We thank you for giving us the enablement to really meet as a family. And all the deliberations that we've had, we pray that it will make sense in the end, in Jesus' name.
Amen.
as we
Short
depart,
and sweet.
as we depart, we're not departing from your presence. We pray that you still lead us and guide us and protect us till we meet again in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Well, it's a pleasure meeting my
Amen.
brothers and sisters.
Phil,
So
thanks for
welcome
coming.
and stay well.
Okay.
Bye.
You guys can
Bye.
see Phil.
Bye now. Yeah, we'll meet
She's
up on the
she's a
platform.
very strong woman.
Yeah, well, that's the type of lady that we need.
Yeah.
We need our tough ladies. You know, people that can push forward ideas and run with the idea and help to define a positive outcome, constructive outcome. That's what I
right.
like to see anyway.
That's a
God is
strong
helping.
team player.
We don't want yes, yes, man, lady. No, we want our tough sisters who can help to contribute, formulate. Yeah, exactly. Well done, sister.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
brothers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we've made a
Thank
lot
you.
of progress today.
Yes.
Yes,
We've
Absolutely.